Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the February 2nd regular meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
Councilmember Bart Gonzalez. Police.
Present.
Councilmember Overby.
Here.
Councilmember Rogers.
Present.
President.
Present, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting, we have 4 public hearings followed by a public portion where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. But before we get started, we have our town crier, Mr. Hugh King here, live and in person.
All right. Now, the last time we talked, you all were supposed to have a question for me when I showed up. And if I can't answer it, Jason at LTV will get it.
Okay.
And then I have some assignments for you. So we could start with Councilwoman Rogers.
Yes, thank you. Since it is February and that's Black History Month, I thought I would ask a question about the Lost Freetown Cemetery. I read about it and an article in the East Hampton Star, and of course, it's part of the Plain Sight Project. And I do believe there was one headstone found at the idea that there was a cemetery, which was discovered in 1930 by the superintendent of highways and his crew, that there was the idea that near Neighborhood House somewhere, there was a cemetery, and they did find some small plots and forgotten mounds there. And one particular headstone that they found was for Ned. And I wanted to know if there was any more information about that cemetery. Found?
No, not necessarily. It's on Morris Park. That's where Ned was. I think the town went down there and they did something. Rick Whalen and
Zach Cohen.
Yeah, Zach Cohen. They did a great job of, and that's one of the. There were other stones found down there, but there was an article in the paper, and I can't remember. There was an article. I think it was. I don't know if it was George Sid Miller, who was the superintendent of highways at the time. But where did you get that from?
An article in the Star, and it was George S. Miller, who was in 1930.
You found the article in the Star?
Yeah, the article is in the Star about it was from 2020, and it was written by David Rattray. And
I don't know any more. I don't know any more about that. There are, of course, other stones of African Americans. You know, if you go to the South End Cemetery, Peg is in there. She was a servant to Abraham Gardner. And also Thomas Jefferson Davis.
That's very good.
Right? Who was a sailor during the American Civil War. His stone is off of Old Stone Highway. Those are the 3. We got Ned, we've got Thomas Jefferson Davis, and Peg. And it's very unusual because unfortunately many of them have been lost or buried under other kinds of construction. So I don't have any more than you have.
So I just wanted to also, just remind everyone that slavery also existed here in East Hampton during Black History Month. And I found out also in this article that although in the state, enslaved people were, slavery continued to be legal in the state until July 4th, 1827. And despite the state law, the last known record of an enslaved person in East Hampton comes from 1829, and it is a bill of sale for a girl named Tamar, who was 14. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And you know what the Plain Sight Project has done? It's changed the narrative. You don't say, we used to say Josiah Hobart built the Mulford House. No, he didn't. He had it built. Well, who else built it? The Dominies built the windmills. They had to go to Gardiner's Island and cut the timber and bring. Who did that? They didn't do all of that. So it's really changed the narrative, that Plain Sight Project. There were other people involved in building this community years ago, and unfortunately, many of them weren't free. Okay. Okay, Councilwoman Overby?
Well, I'm also going to say this is Black History Month, and to honor Black History Month, my question to you is about the Amistad case.
Oh, okay.
So can you tell us, the Amistad case started in 1839, and what is its connection to East Hampton?
Well, when the Sinkyu and the other natives took over the ship, they told the two owners of the ship to sail it back to Africa. But what they did is during the day they went toward Africa, and the night they came back towards North America. So they weaved their way up and they landed in Montauk. And Henry Green and somebody else were down there hunting, and the Sinkyu and a few of the others came ashore to get some water. And while they were moored in Montauk, a U.S. cutter came around and captured them and picked them up, and they went back to their trial. It's in Massachusetts, I believe. It wound up in the United States Supreme Court. So that's the connection I have to East Hampton.
And who did you? Can you tell everyone who defended the?
Well, John Quincy Adams was the lawyer who finally wound up, but there were other people involved before that. In fact, the lawyer before that approved that they were free, and the United States government protested the case and went up to the Supreme Court. That's how John Quincy Adams got involved. But
And they won at that level.
they won at that
A
level.
7-1 decision. that
And
they
then
were
when
considered free men.
Spielberg made his movie, the part of East Hampton was just like 5 seconds. It didn't have anything really to do here, but that's where they were captured, off of Montauk.
Right.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
Uh-oh, go ahead. Giving
My
me that
turn?
look like I've got something that nobody's heard of before.
Well, I might. I don't know. Is it my turn now?
Yes, it's your turn, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. Who was the first? Who was the first person to put together an independent farm outside of East Hampton's core settlement? And what hamlet did they?
It's probably Wainscott.
Okay, you got the hamlet
All right, I'm
So-
going to make a guess that it's an Osborne.
right again.
Without the E.
Do we know which one it is?
No, I'll say Jonathan. I don't
Well,
know.
there you go. How many Jonathan Osborns were there?
Right.
But yeah, you're correct. And the farm was included as part of the meadows at Wainscott Pond, which had been a common pasture since 1652. The change of ownership was part of beginnings of a trend in East Hampton from common to individual private ownership
Wow.
and enterprise. But in looking for something to try and stump you on, I came across something else, which may in fact stump you.
No
I don't
comment.
know. I've never heard of this one.
Okay.
What structure was built in 1653 in Northwest Creek?
A windmill.
More specifically,
Venison. What's the guy named Meggs? Some guy named Meggs was it a horse mill?
no, but it did have an alternative source of power than wind.
It was a
It
water
wasn't a
mill?
horse.
Oh, was it a water mill?
It was a tide mill.
A tide mill?
A
Oh, I
tide
thought it was
mill.
a windmill. I
Well,
got
this
that wrong all these years.
this reference talks about an early tide mill. So I imagine they would have put a water wheel in the narrow channel of the creek, and
God.
it would
There's enough
work in one
elevation.
direction 6 hours and in another direction.
Is it
6
the Vincent
hours.
Meggs mill? Is this the guy? Did you have his name?
I didn't find a reference to who put it
That's
together.
something different then. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's a goodie. Councilman Lees?
Mine's gonna be maybe a little bit easier, but there's a couple windmills. I was fortunate enough to participate or just to go to the East Hampton Historical Society's Winter Lecture Series, which they put on every year. It's fantastic. Go to their easthamptonhistory.org, their website, to see their upcoming lectures. This past one on Friday was at the library, and it was put on by Bob Hefner, who actually wrote a book on windmills. And I think this one's Millers and Millwrights was named. So my question to you, even though most of the discussion was about a little bit about the Domini Mill and the Domini's building of them, and specifically the Hook Mill, but can you name the locations of the current windmills in the town of East Hampton, and specifically if they're still functioning.
Well, there are 11 windmills on Eastern Long Island. In the town of East Hampton, there is a windmill in Wainscott. That windmill started in Southampton and it came to Wainscott. And then it was moved down to where the lighthouse is on Turtle Hill. And then during the war, it was moved back to that spot. So that's the Wainscott mill, and it's got a fantail on it, which makes it different. Then the village, of course, has 3 windmills, the Gardner Mill, the Hook Mill, and the Panago Mill. There's also a mill off of Further Lane. Don't go there. It's the Hayground Mill, which was, where Hayground is in between Bridgehampton and Watermill. And there's a big antique store there on the right. That was the Hayground School. And behind it, there was the Hayground Windmill. And in 1950, Robert Dowling moved it down Ocean Road to the beach and moved it along the beach to his property. And then when William Simon bought the property, he moved the windmill and it's in front of the house. So that's 4. The one in Wainscott's 5. There's one on Gardener's Island, right? Is that 6 or 5? I don't know. Wait a minute. So the BB windmill, but that's in Bridgehampton, so that doesn't count. Is that it?
I think that's it. That's all I know that's still standing.
Right.
Yes.
Still standing.
Okay, here's your question for next time. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Councilwoman Rogers, you will try to trace the history of the Calvary Baptist Church, how it started. Councilwoman Overby, how about tracing the history of Freetown? Supervisor Vanskoyak, Eastville. Why don't you try to tell us the historic aspects of Eastville? Councilman Leith, St. David's AME Zion Church.
Gotcha.
All right. And then we'll give Councilwoman Gonzalez St. Matthew's Chapel, which is still standing, by the way. So is the AME Zion Church. Okay. Thank you so much for doing this. We only spent this time 15 minutes on local history. Good enough.
Thanks so much, Hugh. That brings us up to the public hearing portion of the meeting. Carol, if you read the COVID notice and the first public hearing notice.
Public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV channel 22 and are available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person, but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, by attorney, or by call in to the live stream, or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes and for updated information. Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 2nd, 2 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to consider a local law, an abstract of which follows. A local law to amend Chapter 232 Urban Renewal as follows. Amend Section 232-100 Roadwork and Improvements in Urban Renewal Plans, paragraphs G, H, and I, to provide for the fees for road improvement assignments, 1-year review of assignments of roadwork and other improvements, and inspection fees to be set from time to time by resolution of the town board. And to amend Section 232-170, modification of urban renewal plans to provide for a fee for review of applications to amend the urban renewal plan to be set and amended from time to time by resolution of the town board. The full text of the local law is available for review on the town's website and is also available for review in the office of the town clerk.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board on this matter? Entertain a motion to
Motion to
Oh,
close.
do we have any callers on the line, Jason?
We have no colors on the line.
I'll entertain a motion to close then.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. Carol, if you'd read the next hearing notice.
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the town board meeting room, East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, pursuant to section 247 of the general municipal law and section 64E8 of the town law of the state of New York on February 2nd, 2 p.m. or sooner after as this matter may be heard, to consider the town's acquisition for the preservation of open space and with community preservation funds of a property located at 291 Gerard Drive in Springs, reputedly owned by East Hampton Gerard Point LLC, and consisting of approximately 1.2 acres of vacant land at a cost to the town of East Hampton not to exceed $1,975,000 plus reasonable survey, title, prorated tax, and recording charges. Said property being described on the Suffolk County tax map as 364-27.
Thank you, Carol. Do we have Scott Wilson in the waiting room, Jason?
Yes, we do. Scott Wilson is being let in right now. Let me just go and get that up.
Welcome, Scott.
Scott, can you hear us?
Don't seem to have Scott's audio.
Yeah, his mic is open, so it should be feeding. He muted himself and all right, muted, unmuted. Let's give him a second to get that sorted.
How about now?
Perfect.
Yay.
Yay, all right.
So sorry.
Welcome, Scott.
Been having some trouble with this microphone. Did I go back out again?
No, you're, please
Okay,
continue.
perfect. So sorry. So this is the property you can see on your screen. It's outlined in blue. It's located on the Gardner's Bay side of Gerard, past the second causeway. Gerard Drive is actually, the peninsula is one of the most environmentally sensitive areas within the town. This particular property contains undisturbed wetlands with a high quality coastal habitat. An acquisition of this and actually other waterfront lots retains the benefit of habitat for wetland dependent species, removing nitrogen sources of associated septic, eliminating a source of nutrients from fertilizer applications, and allowing the retreat of wetland dependent species and habitat as sea levels rise. This parcel is located within the New York's significant coastal fish and wildlife habitat, a scenic area of statewide significance, the Peconic Estuary and the Ecobonic Harbor Critical Environmental Area, as well as being on the Peconic Estuary Program's Critical Lands Protection Strategy. This parcel meets the criteria set forth in Town Law 64E. I would ask the board to pass a resolution to acquire this property.
Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board on this matter? Yes, Mr. Buda.
Good afternoon, Town Board and Scott. I certainly agree that the Cape Gardner is extremely environmentally sensitive, and the town has done a tremendous job of acquiring a substantial amount of contiguous land that was either vacant or had minimal improvements or obsolete improvements that could be removed. However, this parcel, if the price were closer to $1 million, I probably wouldn't have any thoughts or second thoughts, but at a price of $2 million for a 100-foot wide strip of land that is stated to be 1.2 acres, although I don't know if that excludes any of the land that cannot be developed under any circumstances due to environmental setback requirements and wetlands and beachfront area. It really is a pricey, a valuable but pricey and overpriced, in my opinion, acquisition. On either side of this particular 100-foot wide stretch are two developed properties. Unlike many of the acquisitions in this Cape Gardner area that were provided the opportunity to have larger expansion of open space, which provides obviously a lot of greater environmental benefit, it's unlikely that this piece will ever be able to be contiguous to other open space, at least not in the near future. So I have to really wonder whether or not the appraisal process for this property properly and duly took into consideration the difficulties of developing it. We have a seller who is an LLC that itself has found out the hard way that land that is waterfront, such as the land that it also owned in Amagansett on Shore Road, is very difficult to obtain the necessary permits to do the development that they had wanted. They had actually sued the town, this entity, sued the town and lost the denial of its special permit, natural resources special permit in the Amagansett situation. Perhaps that contributed to their willingness to throw in the towel on this piece as well. What I'm saying is, you have to look, shouldn't just look at this property as just part of a big process of acquiring most or all of Cape Gardner, because when you value it, you have to look at what is the true realistic development potential. And we have to hope that the appraiser has properly factored that in. I won't know that until I have an opportunity to see the appraisal after this process is concluded. The people that will benefit most immediately and most significantly from the town's acquisition of this 100-foot strip of land are the two adjacent property owners. And maybe it's just coincidence that one of the owners of the adjacent properties appears to be the same Joseph and Nancy Walker who sold to the town for $9.3 million their vacant parcel in Amagansett on Broadview Road. It could just be that lightning struck twice. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. I don't really know that they had any involvement in facilitating this transaction, but undoubtedly, the town has to make choices. Where are those millions of dollars from CPF funds going to be spent? They have to be spent in the most efficient and effective manner. This parcel is valuable, but at a price tag of $2 million, I think it's overpriced.
Thank you, David.
And one last thing, I would ask, as I have in the past, when you're dealing with an LLC and you're dealing with selling property, but purchasing property for millions of dollars, please make the effort to list in the transaction, in the public disclosures, in the resolutions, the name of the managing partner, managing member of the LLC, so the public has an awareness of who the town is transacting business with. It's not hard to find. In fact, in this case, the owner, the real owner in interest, is listed in the tax mailing records of the town on the tax roll. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Anyone else wish to address the board on this matter? Jason, do we have any callers?
Checking right now, and we have no callers on the line. Give me just 1 second. I just wanted to make something for the record.
Town board, I am using the call-in line right now, and it's up and running, and we have no callers.
Motion to close?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, pass carried. Carol, if you'd read the next public hearing notice, please.
Please take notice that pursuant to section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, February 2nd at 2 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is Thomas Michael Burke and Rebecca Christian Baker. It's a scenic and conservation easement dated December 12th at 182 3 Mile Harbor, Hog Creek Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 394-21, and the reviewing agency is the Planning Board.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here wishes to address the board on this matter?
Motion to close?
Do we have any callers on the line, Jason?
We have no callers on the line.
We have a motion to close. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Carol, if you'd read the last public hearing notice for today, please.
Please take notice that pursuant to section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, February 2nd at 2 p.m. or as soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard concerning the following grant of a historic preservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is Thomas Michael Burke and Rebecca Christian Baker. It's a historic preservation easement dated December 12th at 182 3 Mile Harbor, Hog Creek Road, East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 394-21, and the reviewing agency is the Planning Board.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone here wish to address the board on this matter? Do we have any callers on the line, Jason?
Still no callers.
Entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. That concludes our public hearing notices. We now have a public portion where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask again that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Is there anyone here for, yes, David? Happy Groundhog Day.
Not sure I understand that, but whatever.
Well, it's the 2nd of February. It's Groundhog Day.
That I understand.
Okay.
I'm not sure about coming back and doing it over again.
Oh, really? Well, you don't see the humor in that?
Sort of.
Okay.
And in that theme,
Okay. Now we have a theme.
of bringing things up again and
again.
again.
Again and again.
Oh, maybe that's what we're talking
Okay.
about.
Just
Groundhog
like I
Day.
have on repeated occasions urged you to disclose the true parties and interests when you're dealing with corporations, LLCs. I have also in the past repeatedly or on several occasions pointed out that there are certain intrinsic flaws in the process in the town code for urban renewal map modifications. I've urged you in the past, so I will repeat again on February 2nd, that you should consider modifying the code to provide notice to affected neighboring properties. There is currently no notice provision. I can go to pay, it's now $150 fee and request an urban renewal map modification. And it might adversely affect nearby or neighboring properties in terms of affecting road access. And there's no obligation for myself or the town to give notice to those people who might be adversely affected. That is a flaw in the process. Also, because no one knows that someone has filed an application until the Friday before it comes up before the planning board to review, to determine whether they should make a recommendation, there's very little time for anyone to respond or to even learn about the fact the matter is going to be discussed at the planning board. And though the planning department prepares a memo, and if one is very much aware of what's going on, you can learn about that a few days before. But the last thing the planning board wants to receive is comments and submissions on the day of their review or a hearing. It's not a hearing, but a review. So I urge you to consider making some recommendations, some changes to the code to provide notice to affected parties. Let me just tell you specifically, last night, an applicant asked to modify the map in a way that would adversely affect, in my opinion, the adjacent property owner, because the current map provides that the adjacent property owner who owns two parcels on either side of a road that is marked as to be abandoned, authorized to be abandoned, which would allow that adjacent property owner to take possession and ownership of the strip of land that once was mapped as a potential access way or roadway. That property owner was not given notice, was not a participant in the process directly, and was not afforded the opportunity to participate, and was not expressly required to be a co-applicant participant in the process, which you would think is another aspect of the process that needs to be improved. If someone's going to be affected, if their property rights, the ability to abandon a roadway in front of their two properties, if that's going to be eliminated, they should be required to be part of the process. So who was that adjacent property owner? The town of East Hampton. The town was actually given no direct opportunity to contest that request of the private property owner to eliminate the town's ability to take acquisition of both sides of a part of a street or access way. So that's just a really extreme example of why the process needs to be fine-tuned. Second topic I'd like to bring up is that after having spent a few weeks in Palm Beach County, I want to let you know that I'm going to be an advocate for maximizing the opportunity for pickleball courts in the town. I know that there is a new court in the process somewhere in Montauk.
Right.
And there are some private courts, not for the public courts, that are currently available elsewhere in the town. But having seen the variety of ways in which a community can convert existing or obsolete tennis courts that are unneeded because of lack of demand, or even a roller hockey rink that was converted to 6 pickleball courts. And having seen a brand new facility in another community of Jupiter that was specifically designed for pickleball, those courts, of course, were fully occupied all the time. The adjacent tennis courts were empty, with the exception of one court where someone was playing pickleball. So it's something that the town has to focus on. You can augment the ability to provide that facility, those recreational opportunities, by placing within tennis courts lines for pickleball, although the net is not exactly the same. And you can also place pickleball courts on either end or across tennis courts if they're not needed. So, David, I've given you fair warning that I'll be on your case.
So and I agree with you. So at the spring school, the tennis courts that are there, they're going to be resurfaced in the springtime. Part of the lining will include pickleball courts on them. The 2 tennis courts in Montauk actually have lines on them for pickleball, and I believe also the ones at Terry King also. So part of what the town board has authorized, and I believe agree with, is not to decrease any recreational activities, but to add more recreational activities into the township by building specific pickleball courts. And I look forward to looking for other locations to do so too, David.
Right.
I agree with you. And personally, I've never played. I think I'm
Be careful, you'll get hooked.
yeah. I just don't want to break another hip. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, but I wanted to just point out that
Sure.
not only do you have to consider the expense of new courts, but in many opportunities, there are perhaps present opportunities to use existing facilities that either can be shared or that are considered now excess. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Jason, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Okay, we can move on then to resolutions. David, I believe you have
I do, sir.
first
Thank you very much.
resolutions today.
Excuse me. I get to do it a warrant. I'd like to offer resolution 2023-187. This is the warrant number 2A for the approval of claims. The amount is $2,719,111.23. And the utility warrant 2A for $61,021.58.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried.
188 is appoint full-time automotive equipment operator to the Highway Department, Joshua King, to an hourly rate of $24.39, $50,733.07 annually, retroactive to grade 20, starting step, retroactive to January 11th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
189 is appoint part-time groundskeeper 1 in the Parks Department, Jeannie Lucas, hourly rate of $21 an hour, effective February 6, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
190 is the resignation of highway employee Austin Cohen, effective December 23rd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
191 is amend CSEA Schedule A, add highway projects inspector is hereby amended. The CSEA Schedule A is hereby amended to reflect the addition of the highways project inspector at grade 30 with a starting step hourly rate $32.58 for a 40-hour work week.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
192 is amend Resolution 2023-186. Resolved that the correct grade 34 for the starting step hourly rate for the Public Works Capital Project Manager is listed at $35.51 on Resolution 2023-186 and is now $37.51.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
193 is amend Resolution 2023-24, retroactive to January 1st for different positions and titles and hourly rates listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
194 is a notice of proposal for RFP for EH 2023-104. This is improvements for town areas with public internet, Wi-Fi, and public visible cameras. Proposal is available February 9th, 2023, due back February 23rd, 2023. If anyone has any questions, please contact our purchasing department at 631-324-4141.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
195 is engineering design for the Accabonac Harbor Stormwater Bioswales. After the first year installation, the bioswale is assessed, and then we need to do slight modifications. We have a proposal from LK McLean to help with engineering that at the cost not to exceed $4,900.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
196 is to accept a donation for a load right trailer from the Hampton Lifeguard Association that is valued at $1,595.
Second.
All
Thank
in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-197 is Hirsch, schedule a public hearing, notice of public hearing for grant of a scenic and conservation easement. This is to take place Thursday, February 16th at 11 a.m. This is for Jason and Jillian Hirsch, and the location is 56 Jacqueline Drive, Amagansett, and the reviewing agency is the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-198 is to appoint an additional member to the Anti-Bias Task Force, Jim McMillan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 199 is to appoint and amend East Hampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue members for 2023, John Ryan Jr. and Maureen Rakowski.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 200 is 2022 outstanding invoices for a mechanical system. This was ascertained by the Human Services Department, and the invoices that were not received need to be paid in the amount of $299.50 from 6/23/22 and in the amount of $185. It's for dated 7/20/22 for a total of $484.50.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-201 is to retain Vincent Gardiello of the Rayner Group for engineering services for 2023. And they have submitted a proposal to provide the planning department with services to assist in site plan review, urban renewal review at the listed rates that are posted in this resolution, not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 202 is a payout upon resignation of William Highland. He has resigned his full-time position as a planner in the planning department effective January 13th. And there is a payout for a check through payroll for appropriate payroll account. Okay. This is for accrued vacation time and for accrued compensatory time for a gross total of $2,313.52.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-203 is a payout upon retirement of Thomas Rule. And Thomas also has vacation time, sick personal time, and compensatory time, and I think also some longevity time for a total gross payout of $145,506.42.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's carried.
Resolution 204 is a payout upon retirement of Maureen Ryan. Maureen has accrued vacation time and sick time, and the total payout for would be a gross total of $806.98.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's carried.
And 205, we have a payout upon resignation to Owen Jander, and Owen was a minibus driver, and he has accrued some compensatory time for a gross total of $24.05.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's carried.
Resolution 206 is to retain FPM Group for landfill monitoring services for 2023. East Hampton installed various methane monitoring wells at and around Springs Fireplace Landfill and the Montauk Landfill. And in accordance with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation approved monitoring schedule, the town must retain the services of a licensed professional engineer to perform quarterly monitoring of those wells. And for the calendar year 2023, it's not to exceed $48,330 for the Montauk landfill and $47,116.10 for the Springs Fireplace landfill.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
I have resolution 207, and it should read appoint additional members because there's two being appointed to the Springs Citizen Advisory Committee. And it is resolved that Kenny Dodge and Matthew Sargenti are hereby added as members to the Springs Citizens Advisory Committee for the calendar year 2023.
Second as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I have resolution 208, and this is to appoint an additional member to the Energy Sustainability Committee for the calendar year 2023, and resolve that Leonard Green is hereby added as a member to the Energy Sustainability Committee for 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 209 is is a list appointment from Provisional Network and Systems Specialist 2 for Nancy Seraphin, and resolve that Nancy Seraphin is hereby permanently appointed to the full-time position of Network and Systems Specialist 2 in the Information Technology Department with no change in salary, schedule, or budget account effective retroactive to January 20th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 210 is to reappoint Rameshwar Das to the 2023 Waterfront Advisory Committee and reappoint Rameshwar Das as chairman. And be it resolved that Rameshwar Das is hereby reappointed as a member to the Waterfront Advisory Committee, said term to expire 9/3/2022, and that the reappointment be retroactive to 12/31/2027. Does that make any sense? That resolution? Okay, and be it further resolved that Ramesh Das is hereby appointed as chairman to the Waterfront Advisory Committee for the calendar year 2023.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Got confused with those.
Yeah, it is
dates.
a little confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's written on. Resolution 211 is to authorize the use of a motorized boat in Georgia Pond. And this is whereas Cornell Cooperative Extension and their contractor Clear, which is Coastline Evaluation Corp., in collaboration with Peconic Land Trust, have requested an exemption from a ban on motorized boat use in Georgia Pond for Cornell Cooperative Extension and Clear to complete a water quality monitoring survey, site delineation, and characterization of nitrogen inputs into the pond. And whereas the health of Georgia Pond and its ecosystems is of concern, as impairment of the water quality of the pond has the potential to create threats to human health and to the fragile ecosystems of the pond, and the proposed work from CCE and PLT can help to further the knowledge of the pollutants to the pond and guide remedial actions. Whereas CCE CCE staff would utilize a small boat with a motor on Georgia Pond to conduct research. And whereas the East Hampton Town trustees have unanimously approved the CCE work plan and gave permission for a mooring in Georgia Pond, therefore be it resolved that Cornell Cooperative Extension and its contractor in partnership with the Peconic Land Trust shall be permitted to use a motorized boat to conduct research in Georgia Pond throughout the 2023 field season.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 212 is to authorize a contract for computer professionals in the East Hampton Justice Court. Whereas the Town Justice Court requires the services of computer professional to maintain the computer system at the Justice Court. And whereas computer professionals submitted a proposal for 2023 with options for renewal upon mutual consent for the provision of computer maintenance services, as well as up to 30 hours of labor for repairs with the town, purchasing parts as needed at a wholesale cost and an annual cost for labor of $2,500 with an additional labor to be billed at a rate of $65 an hour. Resolved that the town hereby retains computer professionals to provide computer maintenance services to Town Justice Court for the 2023 calendar year at an annual cost of $2,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2013 is to accept a bid for the supply and delivery of frozen foods to Mavilia Food of New York, Inc. And whereas the town board solicited bids for the supply and delivery of frozen foods for January 2023, and where the bid of Mavilia Foods of New York was the lowest bid received, resolved that the bid of Mavilia Food of New York, Inc. is hereby accepted for all items bid, and the senior purchasing agent is hereby authorized to issue purchase orders in accordance with the town's bid specifications and the submission of the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and
2014 is to accept the bid of supply and delivery of groceries January 2023. This is again for Mavilia Foods of New York. This is where the town solicited bids for the supply and delivery of groceries, and the bid of Mavilia Foods of New York was the lowest bid received, meaning the bid specifications in improper form. Resolved that the bid of Mavilia Foods of New York, Inc. is hereby accepted for all items bid, and the senior purchasing agent is hereby authorized to issue purchases in accordance with the town's bid specifications and bid submissions of the contractors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
215 is also to accept another bid for the supply and delivery of dairy products for 2023. And this is also again for Mavilia Foods, was the lowest bid received, the bid meeting the bid specifications in improper form, and therefore be it resolved that Mavilia Foods, Inc. is hereby accepted for all bid items, and the senior purchasing agent is authorized to issue purchase orders in accordance with the town's specifications and bid submission of the contractors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Resolution 134 is to approve the retention of AKRF Incorporated by Whiteman, Osterman, Hannah LLP for assistance in the environmental analysis of the transition of the East Hampton Town Airport from a public use airport to a private use airport, and the development of regulations with regard to the same. Resolved that Whiteman, Osterman, Hannah is hereby authorized to retain AKRF, LK Plane, and HMMH to provide professional environmental planning services for the town.
Mr. Supervisor, I guess Carol, does he need to move to untable that or?
Oh, yes, we do have to move to untable.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to untable.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Now, if we could just do a revision to this and just make it the retroactive provision only going back to January 1st of 2023. At the time, this was tabled because we didn't know the allocation between what might come in December and what would be for 2023. Since we started, though, we now have all the bills for December. So this is just going to be for 2023 calendar year.
So do I have a second as amended?
I have a second as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 216 is promotion to administrative assistant with the East Hampton Town Police Department, Amanda Bennett. and that is at an hourly rate of $32.24, $67,062.11 annually, grade 28, step 1 for 40-hour work week, and that's retroactive to January 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. 217 is to set the 2023 compensatory, compensation for part-time town employees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. 218 is to approve the expenditure of the org meeting refreshments, and that was not to exceed $450 retroactive to January 5th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 219 is the payout upon retirement to Amy Rule. And that's resolved to the finance office be authorized to issue a check for payroll and appropriate payroll account at an hourly rate of $37.90 for vacation time, the amount of $3,548.47, sick time, the amount of $4,615.57, compensatory time, and the amount of $1,042.38, and a prorated longevity at $46.15 for a gross total of $9,252.57.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. 220 is a payout upon resignation for Gabriella Gallier, and that is in the gross total amount of $4,124.89.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 221 is a payout upon termination of Christine Gowdy, and that is for a gross total of $13.30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution 222 is a child passenger safety training, and that authorizes Sergeant Bradley Rossi, Police Officer William Hamilton, Ross Hamilton, Michael Rodriguez to attend the NYS CPS Technical Conference by the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee held in Lake Placid, May 2nd through May 4th, and that is not to exceed $2,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 223 is juvenile officers training, and this is for Sergeant Kenneth Alversa, Police Officer Devin Toya, and Police Officer Timothy Tierney to attend the 2023 State of New York Police Juvenile Officers Association Training Conference. And that is held in Syracuse, New York, August 27th, 2023 through September 1st. And that's not to exceed $3,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. 224, crisis negotiations training. That is for Detective Sergeant Ryan Hogan, Detective Frank Sokolowski, and Detective John Anderson, Lieutenant Daniel Toya, Sergeant Gregory Martin, Deputy Chief Public Safety Dispatch, Stephen Blanchard. And that is held remotely on March 24th, 2023. And that is not to exceed $1,254.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed, carried. Resolution 225 is Edward Snell's training, and that's resolved that Network Communications Specialist Eddie Snell is hereby authorized to attend the Communications Unit exercise training sponsored by New York State DHSES office. Let's see, and that is for Scanning, New York, April 11th through 14th, 2023, not to exceed $500.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed, carried. Resolution 226 is a notary renewal for Detective Orlando, David Orlando, and that's in the amount of $60.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed, carried. 227 is notary renewal Detective Sokolowski, and that's in the amount of $60.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution 228 is to amend Resolution 2022-1261, ordinance officer added for noise certificate training, certification training, and that is, let's see, to that Linda Sicilione is added to the December training for noise certification, amending the resolution at a cost of $645.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. We have a couple of additional resolutions.
Yes, this is Resolution 2023-229. This is for the Burke and Baker accept the grant of the scenic easement that we heard earlier today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried.
2023 is 230 for Burke and Baker to accept the grant of the historic preservation easement that we also heard earlier.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. Any other matters to bring before the board? I'll accept the motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel, license agreements, contracts, and CPF.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. It's about 3:00 now. Board members ready to?
Yeah.
Start like 3:15, let's say.
Yep.
That would be good.
Very good. I will send the link around. Stay safe, be well, everyone. Happy Groundhog Day.